Hello there. I'm not going to use his name. I'm not going to use his name in this video, not because I don't value him and I don't respect him. I do. I deeply value him and respect him. But I want his name to be tied to the beauty of how he lived, not to the miserable way he died. I first met him when he was a junior. I was sponsor for the National Honor Society, and at that school, National Honor Society provided tutoring for students. And so the group of tutors that we had, I went in as sponsor to tell them some of the methods that they needed to use when they were tutoring their fellow students. And one of the things I said was, do not trash a student's teacher to them. Even if you agree, even if they're griping about a teacher, don't add to that. And he he didn't really like that bit of advice, and so he asked why. And I explained that student attitudes toward teachers change. And sometimes a teacher that you don't like at first, you come to just love, and you don't want to be, as a tutor, somebody who sets up a difficulty in that way. You want to provide help in the content area, and how the student feels about the teacher may change. And he begrudgingly accepted that, but I could tell he didn't totally buy that. Nonetheless, I think he began to change in his attitude toward me slowly over time, because eventually he did enroll in my class. He became a student of mine. And after he had suffered some troubles, as teenagers do, he decided to ask me to be his advisor when he began junior college. And he was a writer, and the best writer I ever taught. I don't mean to belittle the fantastic writers I've gotten to teach and work with, but he was probably the best. He finished junior college. He went on to an undergraduate program. He got his degree. I heard about this. He did not stay in touch, which was fine. Most students don't. They drop by occasionally, but they don't. It's not typical that they stay close. I do have a few students who stay close enough to where they get in touch with me. They let me know what's going on in their lives, that sort of thing. But I had read in some material that I had that he had graduated recently, and I got this feeling that I should get in contact with him. And I second guessed myself and said, no, he doesn't want to hear from some old English teacher. He's fine. He's living his life. He's a grown-up now. He doesn't need to hear from me. And a couple of months later, I heard what had happened. He had killed himself. I don't know why. I was told some things and I heard some things at his memorial, but that I don't know why. And the truth is that I've had a number of students that has happened to, either former students. I haven't had a student where I've had them and it happens during the school year. I haven't experienced that. But as a teacher, you're likely to experience this. And I can tell you that I think probably for every young person who ends up doing that, there's some teacher somewhere grieving them. It is part of our experience to question our decisions about things. That's a fair thing to do, and you should look at those things. I regret not getting in touch with him, not because I think me being in touch with him would have saved him. I don't pretend to know that, but it couldn't have hurt. And I feel like it would have been worth the effort of trying to let him know. And I say this because I want teachers to feel empowered if you get an inkling that a kid needs to hear from you, make contact. They may be irritated, that's fine, or they may just, think little of it, that's fine too. It can't hurt. And if it might help, imagine that. I think of him suffering, which he must have been in terrible pain to do such a thing. And I think of that suffering, and I feel a great well of sympathy for all the people who've been in proximity to that pain, that kind of pain, and who've endured that pain. And I truly do think that in most cases, people who are suffering from that pain can experience relief and can get through it. Not everyone does. We all know that. If you've lived for any amount of time, you know that there are people that choose that route, and there's nothing we can do necessarily that will stop them. But it's worth trying. It's worth trying to offer them some comfort, some support, and some joy. This week went really heavy for me, and I want to acknowledge that has happened, and I want to encourage anybody that sees this. If you are feeling terribly depressed, if you're feeling like you can't take it anymore, please reach out to someone. 988 is a line that's still functioning, and there are churches and there are localities around where you can reach out and talk to someone and try to lift the terrible weight that's made you feel so lonesome and unable to endure. If you've gone through this where someone you love has taken their own life, I wish you comfort and peace even in the face of that grief. Not a very happy episode, I'm afraid, today, but next week we'll try to find some things about popularity that are good and ways to encourage people to develop a sense of joy and happiness in the face of not being popular and being popular. That's it for today. I hope you have a calm and beautiful rest of the day, and I hope you see me again, you gorgeous people.